Oh yeah, the world from, you know where I stay. I'm posted. Oh yeah, the world from, you know where I stay. I'm posted in the A. Sitting low, my feeling right now. Every time I ride by.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the All Around Atlanta Sports Podcast or Atlanta Teen Sports Center, whatever you prefer to call us. I will be your host, Blake Newsome, live from Charleston, South Carolina in the Wild Dunes Resort today. I'm joined with my good old co-hosts Connor Quinn and Connor. How are you feeling today? I know you just had an orthodontist appointment earlier, but how are you feeling to be able to do the show?
Yes, my mouth hurts.
Okay, you don't need to do personal information, but yeah, how do you feel overall?
Yeah. I feel fantastic.
And of course, we are live on Instagram at Blake_Newsome. That is BLAKE_NEWSOM for any questions or anything that related to what we're talking about. So yeah, we got only one viewer on right now, so let me just check who that is. You get a shout out. My good friend Tyler Krosky. So yes, Tyler, you can ask questions about the Falcons or whatever you've heard lately on the news or anything about the Falcons or Atlanta related, so sure. But first and foremost, the Falcons have had a retirement party for former Falcons that they've both been released but have come back to Atlanta and have been treated very nicely, especially for one of them that has been done, and that's Michael Vick and Roddy White. Two of the greatest Falcons you could ever say, especially for only the few years that Michael Vick ended up only having with us. Michael Vick has only had 5 years. Only had 5 years with the Falcons, and Roddy White had 11. And the first question of the day coming in from Tyler. He says, "Do you think Don Terry Poe was a good addition to the defense?" Connor, I'm gonna let you answer that one.
I think he is wonderful. I think so. I made a joke on at Daily Falcons. Shout out to him as well. I made on one of his live videos on his live feed. I mentioned about how, and I made the joke that how he's going to average 5 sacks a game. I know that's not going to happen, but I know he's going to be a very good addition to our defensive line, and I hope he gets the job done correctly.
Okay. And I'm going to answer that too. I do think he was a great addition, especially for, I think he was a great addition as well because, I mean, he's put some dominance in the NFL the last few years, and the Falcons have just been needed some additions to their defense. They were able to get quite a few. I mean, they did lose some people, but I think Don Terry Poe was a great addition. Especially with his iconic play that he had in the Chiefs-Steelers game back last year, and they did end up losing the game, but he had a good old Tim Tebow jump pass into the end zone. Oh my God, Dad. No, sorry, guys. My dad is spamming me, so if you hear the ding, ding, ding of my text, sorry about that. But now we don't have any more people watching, so yeah, that's not good. But let's just keep rolling along with our topics here. The Atlanta Falcons have we'll just continue with our Vic and Roddy White retirement party talk. So sorry, guys, we are a little bit rusty here. But what are your thoughts on? Do you think this is a good decision to bring Michael Vick back after what he's done? And it seems like I'd say he's about 50-50 right now, and people that have forgiven him and people that haven't. So Connor, what I'm asking you is, do you think that it was the right time by now to give Michael Vick a retirement party along with another great in Roddy White that has also been released on the Falcons before?
Well, they were both Falcons for Falcons before Roddy White. Wasn't he with the Falcons full time? Am I correct on that?
I'm sorry? Say it again?
Was Roddy White on the Falcons full time?
Yeah, he was there from 2004 or 5 all the way to before this season when he got cut.
Yes, I heard about something that he might work at the front office or something or safety in the stadium. I don't know. You guys probably find out more information than I can, but I believe since what those two guys have done for us I think that they really should have, that they really deserve that, just in honor of what they've done over years, and to celebrate the memories of the big Falcons.
And my opinion is, I mean, I wasn't very old when Michael Vick had the dogfighting incident. I mean, I didn't really understand at the time. I didn't really know about it until probably 2011 or 12 when I started following football, and I kept seeing Michael Vick jerseys when he was on the Eagles, and I'm like, he's an Eagle. Why do people have Falcons jerseys? And I finally got the gut to say, I think one Thanksgiving Day to one of my uncles, where's Michael Vick? What happened? And he said dogfighting, and I'm like, okay. I finally figured out over the years. And I personally have forgiven him. I mean, he was a youngster at the time, 24, 25, now 38, probably almost 40 now. And sorry for the loud noise in the background, guys. But he's definitely gotten older. I think he's a changed man. He's definitely forgiven it. He's definitely mad about his mistakes, but I think Atlanta should forgive him by now. I mean, he has done some bad stuff, but that was a long time ago. He was still a great quarterback, and I'm guessing most people have forgiven him because I know there is hate still, but when I was at the Falcons-Saints game before the regular season ended, at halftime when they brought out Roddy White and Michael Vick on the back of a Ford truck together, which they did with a lot of the greats there, he was cheered by a lot of people. And I heard that, and our good friend that sits right behind us, his name has slipped my mind, he said to pretty much everybody in the section, yelling, "All right, everybody, don't boo Vic." And I guess it worked out because everybody cheered for him when he came out. So that started a new conversation, which has still gone over to this day, about have people finally gotten the gut to forgive Mike Vick, and does he want to be able to be known as still a great in Atlanta for his years that he's been here? I mean, for God's sakes, he wanted to retire one day as a Falcon. The Falcons never really answered up on the deal, but I think the closest thing they could give him was a retirement party, and they did it very well with Roddy White. So, Connor, what do you think was overall? Do you think Mike Vick enjoyed the retirement party or not?
Yes, I do.
Connor?
Yes?
Can he answer your question?
Yeah, I did.
Yes, why?
I couldn't hear the question.
Okay. Moving on then. If you're not going to listen, moving on.
I was listening. I couldn't hear my dog barking.
Okay. Let's move on to Roddy White's side of the equation. He had spent many years with the Falcons. He was a great guy. Everybody loved him around the locker room. I mean, he always had the iconic dreads, number 84 with the headband. He and Julio both looked exactly the same a few years ago before Julio shaved off his dreads, or cut off his dreads. But yeah, I mean, Roddy White was always fun to watch. Matt Ryan, Julio, Tony, and Michael Turner. Yeah, Michael Turner, Tony Gonzalez, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Roddy White. They were the crew to watch, definitely. But yeah, I mean, Roddy White has given Atlanta so many memories. Atlanta has thanked him very much for his time that he's had here in Atlanta. And Connor, if you could describe one or two words that can describe Roddy White's career in Atlanta, what would it be?
Well, I know that he had some up moments, down moments. Like there was one season, I think it was 2007, which was one of his best seasons. I think he had over 100 touchdowns. I think in the season.
Wow.
He was doing pretty well early in his career. And then I think he had some injury problems.
Can you speak up, Connor? I can't even hear you. I'm just letting you know. Can you speak up? Can you speak up, Connor? All right, let me pause this.
I am. So anyway, after that brief pause, what I said was early on in his career, like around the 2007 time, he was having at least his average of about 75 to 80 touchdown catches a season, and also and when towards the end of his career, he's had a whole bunch of injury problems. Sit out, a whole bunch of games. He couldn't play, so that's basically what I understand.
So what are your 2 words?
2 words?
Yeah, the 2 words that describe his career.
I don't really have two particular words.
Well, that was the question.
Hey, what would you ask that?
Because I'm the host and I asked it. So what would be 2 words that would describe Roddy White's career in Atlanta?
I don't know.
Alright, well, moving on, everybody, because Connor doesn't want to answer.
Well, dude, why would I answer? Like, what would you, like, saying, what would you describe,
I mean, I'd think for a minute, but I would say pretty much he was a great talent. Great talent. Great and talented, that's what I would say. It's not that hard. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, well, you can answer that question. That's not really my kind of question.
Let's move.
All right, moving on again.
Yeah. Now I just need to find where I was. I had So the Falcons have cut linebacker Christian Tago from San Jose State, and I picked up offensive linemen. I can't remember their names, but offensive linemen from West Virginia and a defensive end from Memphis. Connor, do you think this is a good decision to add these people to the roster, or do you think they should have kept what they had and not mess around too much early in the mini camps?
Well, I don't really know much about these guys, to be honest.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, I don't really know anything about it.
Alright, well, let's move on to the schedule. This is an awful podcast, guys. We are so sorry. So week 1, we'll just go through probably... Do you want to just do the road games this time, Connor, and do the home games next edition?
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to the away games of the Atlanta Falcons schedule, we'll see, as week 1, thankfully it's not in the snow, because it's only September 10th. So thank the Lord that it should not be snowing there. So the week 1 is at the Chicago with Mitch Trubisky and Mike Glennon quarterback battle, along with that's pretty much all they got up there. So how do you think the Falcons are able to do that game, and do you think they blow the Bears out? And I think I lost my co-host, guys. Be right back. Alright, welcome back, everybody. I was able to finally get my co-host to calm down, I guess. Connor, I'm going to ask you for like the 4th time. Because the game in week 1 of the year is in Chicago, and thankfully it's not late in the year because, I don't really know how this Falcons team is going to be able to be in the snow. So how do you think the Falcons handle week 1? Do you think they'll be able to handle Chicago, and do you think they'll blow out the Bears early in the year?
Well, first of all, it probably won't be snowing in September, so it'll be cold like usual because it's autumn and up there in the days it's cold a little early. But I think the Falcons will handle it fine and play back to regular football.
What? I did not hear a thing you said.
Well, I'm talking right in the thing loud and clearly, so.
Well, the mic is not picking it up. It's picking me up 3 times as better as you are.
Yeah, it's because you're actually there.
the thing is, the phone is like literally right on the iPad, so.
I don't know. I'm talking in normal voice. You want me to scream into it?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't say much of like that. Somebody shut up for the whole lot.
Can you just say your answer just one more time?
Fine. This time it's not on me. I just want to make sure you're out laughing or goofing off or anything.
All right, well, moving on, guys. So, moving on to week, I believe it's 3 is our second road game of the year. They have another NFC North. Yeah, I think that's the North. NFC North. And what's the word I'm looking for? The NFC North showdown up in Detroit in the Motor Center against Matthew Stafford, former Georgia Bulldog, and the rest of the Detroit Lions. Connor, the Lions were able to just slip into the playoffs last year on a 9-7 skid. After starting the year pretty good, they had a bunch of fourth quarter comebacks, but got knocked out in the very first round against the Seattle Seahawks. So, in my opinion, I think this will be a pretty good game. I do think the Falcons come out with a late win. I think they have to score probably a touchdown with less than 5 minutes to go in the game to win. But I think the offense will be able to pull through, and the defense will be able to stop Matthew Stafford just enough. So, Connor, do you agree with me, or do you think I'm?
I agree. I think the Falcons. I think they're a whole lot better team, not because I'm biased getting it or anything, but I think they're a whole lot better team than the Lions are. I think they'll be able to win.
And this is just a mini topic that people have brought up, but how do you think the Falcons' offense will pretty much still be as consistent as they were without Shanahan?
It's definitely going to be a little harder considering that they have a new offensive coordinator, but he particularly runs the same system that Shanahan does. Of course, now he's probably run it the same system as well. Well, I think it's all this new offensive coordinator is getting.
Well, I hope you're speaking into the phone there, but as we move on to the matchup that everybody has been waiting on this year, as the third road game of the year, the Falcons have a Super Bowl 51 rematch between the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons up in Gillette Stadium. Connor, what are the Falcons' keys to getting this win and getting revenge?
Well, like as we saw in Super Bowl 51, they made so many key mistakes towards the end. Of course, play calling it helps, but the same most is bad turnovers and those that I think we can somehow pull off a win there late in the game.
And I pretty much agree with you there. I mean, if they can keep Brady in check, if their play calling holds up till the end of the game, if the turnover if they're in the plus on turnovers, I think the Falcons do have a shot of winning it. As it should be getting a little bit colder up in there, but it's not like December where they're going to be playing in New England for the game of their lives. But it should be a bit interesting because it's October, it should be getting a bit chilly, but it shouldn't be freezing up there yet. So that should be an interesting matchup to watch. As they have 3 straight road games, so we move on to the second Boston area trip as they fly up a little bit north into New Jersey to take on, as I call them, the New Jersey Jets, because they technically are in New Jersey. So how do you think the Falcons perform against the struggling Jets? I mean, they can't really pull together a quarterback lately. I mean, I don't know how many they've drafted, but we'll see how. Surprisingly, the Jets did go 10-6 one year before having to drop down to 4-12, not able to make the playoffs. So, Connor, do you think the Falcons will be able to perform against the Jets pretty well, or do you think it'll be a struggling game?
Yeah, I think they're really kind of good towards the AFC play this year. And I think the more they're going to beat them out perfect time because they still have that quarterback situation involved. I bet you. But I hope you will make it one thing that
I hope I didn't hear a thing you said, so I hope the iPad picked it up again. But moving on to the final game of that 3-game stretch as they take on. I think that's the first they take, and to start November they have their first divisional away game at the Cam Newton's Carolina Panthers. And Connor, we know that it's been an interesting matchup up in Carolina, up in Atlanta. It's definitely been interesting to watch the Falcons and Panthers play the last few years. Who do you think wins this one? And do you think it's a close game, or do you think it's a blowout?
Well, I think it's going to be close. I think my Panthers are going to live up to the potential. And then, of course, the Falcons kind of blew out of the water this past year. But I think about the Panthers, I think they're going to get back to the full potential. Panthers is going to show, like, when they win the Super Bowl 50. I think they might go up to that. But I hope the Falcons can have more of a victorious third in Charlotte.
Do you think the Panthers will be just as bad as they were last year, or do you think they'll be back to performing level?
Well, I don't think they'll be as good as they were years ago, but I think they will be definitely better than they will have. They will definitely be improving, but you'll probably won't see until they go back to the full what they were back like a few years ago.
Yeah, I hope they heard you. Let's move on to another trip up to Seattle on November 20th. That looks like it's going to be a Monday night game up in Seattle at 8:30 at night. So it'll be on primetime TV late in the year. I think this will definitely be an interesting battle because the Seahawks are going to try their best to get their same referees as they had the year before when Julio Jones got pulled down for no interference. Ended up costing the Falcons the game. And the Falcons ended up getting revenge later in the year when they won in the divisional round against them. How do you think the Falcons perform to be able to get to a state, to be able to overcome that high crowd, that high atmosphere crowd in Seattle?
Well, like you said about the high atmosphere crowd, they're one of the most best and loyal fan bases on all the National Football League. They are one of the ones. They will cheer. They don't just make noise on third down like it's like trying to get quickly first down mark or anything. They cheer every play with, and they're loud and they are in your ears. And it's hard, of course, that wonderful basketball thing you hear from trying to direct you plays. It's really hard to hear in the stadium. And I think one of the biggest issues for teams there is just like having a hard time focusing mentally because like a lot of teams are known for making huge mistakes there.
And let's kind of go away from the Falcons for just a second there, as my good friend from our podcast, Matthew King, was just texted in. Do you think Bryce Harper will go to the Yankees after his contract? Yes, we will get to back to the Falcons after this, and I know this is an Atlanta podcast, but I mean, Bryce Harper is an Atlanta name based on how much they hate him. So do you think he will go to the Yankees after his contract to join Aaron Judge and the new young Yankees?
I have not heard anything about that, and I don't really follow the Nationals that closely. I'm like you and I, right? We follow the Braves more closely. I think Matthew does too. I'm not exactly sure, but I think he signs with the Nationals. I think he does.
So I say the last part again.
I think he stays with the Nationals. What I think he does.
Yeah, me too.
Instead of going to the Yankees.
Because this is just a little coincidence, but as you can tell, Bryce Harper is pretty much the only young stud left on the Nationals. There are a few younger players, but I think the older guys that are going to start stepping down are going to start falling out of the what's the word I'm looking for? Falling out of the rank of MLB, I should say. They might have to start rebuilding around Bryce Harper, as the Nationals have had some pretty good years lately, as they've been able to pick up a few veterans to help the team float, like Daniel Murphy. Ryan Zimmerman's still performing pretty well. So this team is pretty much built around veterans, and then you got Trey Turner and Bryce Harper as young studs. So it would definitely be interesting. But I do think that the Nationals will have to rebuild here in a few years. But anyway, let's get back to the Falcon talk. As we got 2 road games left this year, at least on the schedule-wise. We got on December 18th on 8:30 p.m. And wait, before we get to the Falcons, what do you think, as Matthew texted now, what do you think Murphy will do is Harper leaves? I think he means if Harper leaves. What do you think Murphy will do if Harper leaves?
We're not talking about baseball. We're talking about
I know, but last question, Matthew, from baseball. If you want to ask questions, just keep it Falcons talk for now. But yeah, we will answer that last question. What do you think Daniel Murphy will do if Bryce Harper leaves? I mean, that would be interesting. Was he traded from the Mets to the Nationals, or I think he signed with them? So it depends on when his contract's up or if he retires. Who knows?
It was a free agent.
Yeah, I know he's getting a little bit older, so it depends on what he does. I'm really not sure, but he could retire. He could ask for a trade request.
And then I don't know if you guys heard about this, but he had that incident with Alan Porter where he was trying to tell him to move over so he could see home play better, but it didn't Alan Porter was being rude.
And I could not hear a single thing you said, but anyway. Getting back to the Falcons talks, and Matthew just please ask some Falcons questions. We're going through their away games right now for their schedule. So far, I think let's just have a recap here. I do have them having a great away record. I say they went up in Chicago, they went up in Detroit. Right now, this might sound a little bit sketchy, but I'm still undecided in the New England game. I do think they went up in New York, and I do think the Panthers might have I'm still pretty much undecided, but right now I'm leaning towards the Panthers' victory up in Charlotte. I do think the Falcons will be able to come through in Seattle in an upset because it'll be a night primetime game, and you know how Atlanta performs on primetime, everybody. I do think they win in Tampa, but let's get to Colin's thoughts on the Tampa Bay game. And now we wait for Connor to answer.
My opinion on the Tampa Bay game, is that correct?
Yes.
Well, I know Jameis Winston, he's improving a whole bunch here in the offseason, getting more to be a veteran. I believe this is going to be his 3rd year in the league, so he's definitely going to have some experience. And him, and they have, I think that's doing the job better as long receivers. But I think the Falcons, in my opinion, might be a little bit, but I think somehow they can do it away.
So you think they win?
Yes.
In a blowout or close game?
Close game. The only two teams I think they have a chance to win is, of course, the Patriots and the Vikings. The Vikings just started out hot last year. They're going to give us the Falcons a test.
Anyway, let's move on. And Jordan just joined on the podcast, so Jordan, sorry we couldn't do the podcast with you, but anyway, if you want to ask any questions on our Falcons talk, go ahead. Right now we're doing as I said a few of the viewers already, we're going over the Falcons away games. Right now we're on the last one of the Saints. So if you know the Falcons, if you want to look up on your phone the Falcons away games and put your record on what the record will be out on the road, that's fine. Or if you have any questions. But let's move on to the final away game on Christmas Eve. Well, they're taking in New Orleans. They're taking on our hated rival, the New Orleans Saints. I think this will definitely be a late season test for the Falcons. It'll be the probably test up game if they're a playoff team. Because who knows, they could end up coming out of the gate and having a down year. Let's hope that happens. But if the Falcons are a playoff team, this will be our straighten up game to be able to be ready for the playoffs, especially against Drew Brees, who always is going to have a great game against Atlanta. Doesn't matter what our team looks like. He always finds a way to give Atlanta trouble. So, Connor, I'm going to answer mine first. I'll let you speak in just a second. But I do think we split the season series home and home against the Saints. I do think we lose this last game of the year. I don't know if it'll cost us a playoff seed or
yeah,
whatever.
I think we're gonna that'll be the game where we rest some guys, and especially if we clinch a playoff berth and home field or something like that. I think they rest some guys, and maybe they'll start Matt Schaub and Matt Ryan in that game or something. That's backup.
Yeah, like you saw last year, where the Dallas Cowboys rested Dak and Zeke on the last game of the year. They put in Tony Romo, and who was that other quarterback that they had? Can't remember, but it was sad that Tony Romo didn't even play very much. And you know why that story went? Now he's part of the Fox. Is it Fox? No, CBS TV crew. CBS, no. Jay Cutler's on Fox. Tony Romo's on CBS. But yeah, we'll see. As Jordan texts in, he sees the Falcons' record being 13-3.
Yes, I do agree with that 100%. Either that or 12.
And based on what they see, I mean, this schedule does have some bumps in the road, but based on the Falcons' team-wise so far of what we think, I mean, that record does seem pretty strong to lean on. But I do think it's possible, definitely, of what they were able to accomplish last year from going 8-8 and not making the playoffs for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that was very disappointing.
Yeah, and then slipping into the home field advantage in the last few weeks of the year, making it to the Super Bowl. And based on what they have, I mean, here's the schedule. They have at Chicago, the first game in the new stadium against the Packers, and at Matthew Stafford and his Lions, at home against the Buffalo Bills, at home versus the Miami Dolphins, up in New England for a rematch, up in New Jersey to play the Jets. Then the last series on the road is at Carolina against Cam Newton. Then they come home to take on Dak and Zeke and the Cowboys. Then they go on the road for schedule to face Russell Wilson, Richard Sherman, and the rest of the Seahawks. Then they have a home streak playing the Jameis Winston Bucks, Teddy Bridgewater's Vikings, Drew Brees' Saints, and then finishing off the year right back at Tampa Bay and at New Orleans. So, I mean, Jordan just has texted in on his opinion that he says the schedule is really not that hard for Atlanta. I do think that has some bumps in the roads. I mean, we do get Green Bay and Dallas at home, but it will be tough to see us play at Seattle and at New England and be able to come up with maybe two.
And face Vikings. For some reason, Vikings, I think they'll be a very good test for this year.
I mean, it depends on who the quarterback comes out. It could be Teddy Bridgewater. It could be what's his name? Sam Bradford.
He's very dangerous himself.
Yeah. So, but who knows? I mean, Teddy Bridgewater could reclaim the spot. I mean, Adrian Peterson's no longer on the team. He's now on the Saints. So, it'll see if McKinnon, who's actually my grandmother, or I should say my Nana, actually does know McKinnon, the Vikings backup running back, now the starter probably. He knows his parents and he knows him. He went to Georgia Southern and then ended up being drafted by the Vikings. Has played 2 great games against the Falcons in his career. So it's been exciting for his parents to watch, as he's probably now got the starting role as Adrian Peterson has left, and it'll be interesting to see. So, Connor, I do agree. I think that will be an interesting game against the Vikings. And I don't think there's really anything else to cover in this show. Let me just
I think we basically got it.
Yeah, let me just make sure we've covered it all.
We'll also probably do another podcast later as well.
Yeah, expect some more this weekend, guys. I'm in Charleston for the weekend. My dad has seminars for his dental. He's an endodontist, which is a dentist that does root canals, by the way. He's got some seminars that he's got to go to, so there'll definitely be some more podcasts this weekend.
And we apologize for not being on for that
yes.
Yeah,
I've definitely been slacking. I'd rather play PS4 lately. But yeah, I finally was able to pick it up and get back onto the mic and swing it. But, speaking of which, I brought my mic all the way down to where we're doing our podcast, and I never used it. Derp. Anyway. Alright, so thank you guys for listening. This has been another presentation of the Atlanta Teen Sports Center, or the All Around Atlanta Sports Podcast, whatever you prefer to call us. We will most likely see you guys later in another show. So I'm Blake Newsome, along with my co-host Connor Quinn, and everybody on Instagram that has joined over the podcast. And as I say that, the person just left. But thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you later. ATL, ATL, ATL.
But oh yeah, you the world famous. You know where I stay. I'm posted in the A. Feeling low, my feeling right now. Every time I